Campania, 79 AD. A paradise built on the edge of oblivion. While the Roman Empire basked in its golden age, Pompeii was a ticking bomb disguised as a resort town. Warm baths, fresh bread, election slogans on the walls, and above it all, a quiet green mountain. They didn't fear Vesuvius because they did not understand what it was. One morning, the ground trembled and the sky began to change. And on this final day, the question wasn't whether Pompeii would fall. The question was this the wrath of the gods or the blindness of men?
Step into the ghost city. Forget the grey skeletons of stone you see today. In your mind, paint the walls red. Deep, arrogant cinnabar red. In 79 AD, Pompeii was not a dusty ruin. It was a sensory assault, a riot of color and noise. The streets were a dense labyrinth, paved with heavy volcanic stones, buzzing with the sound of 15,000 souls. Patricians in white togas stepping over the muck, slaves hauling baskets of fish, shopkeepers shouting prices in vulgar Latin. It was a miniature Rome, stripped of the politics and drunk on pleasure. But ask yourself, why here? Why build a paradise in the shadow of a monster? The answer is in the dirt. If you dug your hands into the fields outside the city walls, you wouldn't feel sand. You would feel black, spongy earth, volcanic soil, the ghost of ancient eruptions. This soil was a super fertilizer, a geological jackpot that allowed farmers to harvest again and again. It produced grapes so sweet that the wine was exported across the Mediterranean and beyond. It produced the olive oil that fueled the empire. This was the paradise trap. The volcanoes seduced them. It gave them their wealth, their food, and their stunning views. They didn't see Vesuvius as a threat. They saw it as a benefactor, a gentle green giant. They were living on the skin of a sleeping dragon, mistaking its warmth for love. And the city itself, in ways they could not yet see, was becoming a trap. Roman engineers were masters of water, but they were novices of fire. Look at the architecture. The streets were deep channels with high curbs, designed to wash away rain and sewage. In a flood, they were efficient. In a deluge of ash, they were trenches that would trap the fleeing crowds. Look at the houses. The famous atrium style with open roofs designed to catch cool rainwater. Beautiful? Yes. But when the sky turned black, those open roofs became funnels, pouring tons of rock and pumice directly into the living rooms where families huddled for safety. Yet the people felt safe. They were protected by the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. They had running water piped through lead conduits. They had a heated bath complex that rivaled modern spas. They had laws, courts, and gods. Nature tried to warn them. 17 years earlier, in 62 AD, the earth had snapped. A massive earthquake shattered the region. Temples cracked, statues fell. It was a clear warning shot. But the Pompeians? They didn't run. They simply mixed more mortar. They patched the cracks. They painted grander frescoes over the scars. They believed that technology and money could fix anything. They were wrong. The earthquake wasn't an isolated event. It was the mountain clearing its throat. And while they were busy repairing their saunas and arguing over local elections, the magma chamber beneath their feet was silently filling, waiting for the moment to take it all back. Amidst the shaking earth and the darkening sky, we find our witness. Not in Pompeii itself, where the voices are about to be silenced, But 18 miles away, across the Bay of Naples, at the naval base of Misenum. His name is Pliny the Younger. He is 17 years old, a student, a writer, a boy with a sharp eye for detail. And through his letters, written years later to the historian Tacitus, we are given the only surviving eyewitness account of the end of the world. His story begins with curiosity, not fear. It is early afternoon. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, the commander of the Roman fleet and the most famous naturalist of his age, is having a cold bath. He has just finished a light lunch. Then, his sister points to the east. A cloud has appeared. Pliny struggles to describe it. It does not look like smoke. It looks solid. It rises from the mountain on a trunk of immense height, then spreads out into branches of white ash. He gives us the most famous geological description in history. It resembled nothing so much as an umbrella pine. At first, it is a spectacle. The uncle, a man of science, calls for his sandals. He wants a closer look. He orders a light vessel to be prepared. But as he steps onto the shore, the mood shifts. A message arrives from a friend, Rectina, whose villa is at the foot of the mountain. She is terrified. There is no escape by road. She begs for help. In a heartbeat, the scientist becomes the soldier. Pliny the Elder changes his orders. He doesn't launch one boat, he launches the quadriremes, the heavy warships. He looks at his shaking scribes and delivers the line that will echo through history. Fortune favors the brave. He sails straight into the heart of the danger, into the cloud that is already burying the coast. But back in Pompeii, there are no ships. There is only the gray snow. By mid-afternoon, the sky has vanished. The sun is a memory. What is falling from the sky is not soft ash, but pumice, lapilli, small porous rocks, light as sponge, but sharp as glass. They fall with a rattle, then a roar. We don't have diaries from inside the city, but we have something more honest. We have their actions, frozen in time. Panic is a slow contagion. At first, people didn't run. They hid. They retreated into their homes, believing the thick Roman roofs would protect them. But the pumice kept falling. An inch an hour, then 6 inches, then a foot. The physics of the disaster began to take hold. The weight of the stones began to crack the roof tiles. Doors were blocked by the rising debris. Now, the people faced a terrifying choice: stay inside and be buried alive, or step outside into a world of total darkness with pillows tied to their heads to protect against the falling rocks. And here, amidst the chaos, we see the heartbreaking absurdity of human nature. Just like Samuel Pepys burying his cheese in London, the people of Pompeii clung to what they knew. Archaeologists have found them. We find a doctor clutching his box of medical tools, scalpels and forceps, as if he could perform surgery on an earthquake. We find a wealthy woman in the gladiator barracks, draped in emeralds and gold bracelets, perhaps thinking her status would buy her safety from the heat. We find a slave found with a key in his hand, a simple iron key. He was likely guarding his master's house, waiting for an order to leave that never came. He died holding the key to a door that would never open again. But the most tragic witness of all left no words. In the house of Vesuvius Primus, we find a watchdog, a guard dog, chained to a post in the atrium to protect the home from thieves. As the pumice piled up, the dog climbed higher. It struggled, twisting and turning, barking into the black air. We know this because the plaster cast of the dog captures its final moment in excruciating detail. It is on its back, legs contorted, mouth open in a silent scream, the bronze collar still tight around its neck. The humans had a choice. The dog did not. By evening, the fleet from Misenum is forced back by the choking smoke. Pliny the Elder is dying on a beach in Stabai, gasping for air. And in Pompeii, the grey snow has stopped. A strange silence falls. The survivors who are still alive, huddled on top of the pumice, think the worst is over. They think they have survived the night. They are wrong. The mountain is just taking a breath.
While the dog struggled on its chain and Pliny raced his ships into the bay, the true mechanics of the disaster were shifting gears. For 12 hours, Vesuvius had been playing a trick on Pompeii. It had been in what geologists call the Plinian phase. This was the vertical assault. The mountain was acting like a jet engine, blasting a column of gas and debris 30 kilometers straight up into the stratosphere. It was violent, yes. It blocked out the sun, yes. But it was strangely static. As long as the energy pushed up, the people on the ground were relatively safe, provided they didn't get crushed by a falling rock or a collapsing roof. This false sense of survival was the deadliest trap of all. Inside the darkened city, thousands were still alive. They were huddled in basements, crouching under tables, holding pillows over their heads. They made the calculation: if we just wait this out, the storm will pass. We will sweep up the ash in the morning. They didn't know that the engine was about to stall. Up in the cold, thin air of the stratosphere, the column of ash and rock was becoming too heavy. The physics were turning against them. The pressure from the magma chamber began to waver. The jet stream that held millions of tons of debris in the sky suddenly lost its power. Gravity, the ultimate creditor, came to collect. It happened in the middle of the night. The umbrella pine, that majestic, terrifying tree of smoke, began to wobble. It didn't fade away, it collapsed. Imagine a skyscraper made of superheated gas and molten rock 30 kilometers high, suddenly losing its foundation. It fell back to Earth. But it didn't fall straight down. It hit the slopes of Vesuvius and boiled over like milk on a stove. This was the catalyst, the transition from the vertical war to the horizontal war. The sound changed. The rhythmic drumming of falling stones was replaced by a new noise, a low, grinding hiss that vibrated in the chest. It was the sound of a pyroclastic surge. A glowing red avalanche, heavier than air and fluid as water, began to race down the mountain. It wasn't moving at the speed of a run. It was moving at the speed of a hurricane, 100 kilometers an hour. It wasn't just hot. It was a furnace, burning at 400 degrees Celsius. And it was heading straight for Herculaneum first. Pompeii had a few more hours of grace, but the people didn't use them to run. They used them to pray. They lit incense to Jupiter. They grasped their household gods, their lares and penates, whispering frantic pleas into the dark. They didn't realize their gods had already gone silent. The wind shifted. The air grew hotter, sucking the moisture out of their throats. The umbrella pine was no longer a warning in the sky.
It was now a tidal wave of fire on the ground, and it was coming to knock on the door. The waiting was over. The dying was about to begin.
Midnight. The hourglass runs out. High above the stratosphere, the engine fails. The jet of gas sustaining the column wavers, and then it collapses. Gravity wins. Billions of tons of superheated ash and rock stop falling up and start falling down. It hits the slopes of the mountain and boils over. This is no longer a rain of stones. This is a pyroclastic surge, a glowing avalanche of dust and debris moving at 100 miles per hour. Temperature 500 degrees Celsius. Target Herculaneum. Herculaneum dies first. It is a smaller, wealthier town, closer to the peak. For hours, 300 people have been huddled in the stone boat sheds by the beach, waiting for rescue from the sea. Rescue never comes. The surge hits them in a fraction of a second. And here, modern science tells us a terrifying truth. They did not suffer. They did not suffocate. The heat was so extreme, it caused fulminant shock. Their brains boiled instantly. Their skulls exploded. Their muscles contracted so violently that their bones snapped. They didn't burn. They evaporated. In the blink of an eye, a thriving resort town became a charcoal tomb. Meanwhile, in Pompeii, the torture is slower. The surge hasn't reached them yet, but the city is drowning. Pumice is now 3 meters deep. The roofs of the houses are groaning under the weight. Crack, smash, beams snap, tiles shatter. Families huddled in their dining rooms are crushed instantly. Those who survive face the ultimate choice: stay inside and be buried, or climb out. Desperate, they grab lanterns, they tie pillows to their heads, they climb out of second-story windows, stepping not onto the street, but onto a new ground level made of debris. They are walking on top of their own city. They head south, toward the sea, toward hope. But the sea is a churning cauldron of boiling water and pumice. There is no way out. Dawn arrives, but the sun does not rise. The sky remains a bruised, choking black. And then the sound changes. It is not the rattle of stones anymore. It is a low, growing roar, like a freight train, like a beast inhaling. The final column collapses. The fourth surge. This is the big one. It spills over the crater rim. It swallows the vineyards. It devours the villas. And it breaches the walls of Pompeii. It flows through the streets like water, but it burns like hellfire. It moves around corners. It seeps under doors. It finds the stragglers. It finds the lovers in the house of the Menander. It finds the priests in the temple of Isis. It finds the fugitives in the garden. In Pompeii, the heat is lower than in Herculaneum, only 300 degrees. It is not enough to vaporize them. It is enough to bake them. The first breath burns the trachea. The second breath destroys the lungs. The ash creates a cement paste in the throat. They fall. And in their final moment, the heat causes a gruesome phenomenon, the pugilist pose. The intense heat cooks the muscle fibers, causing them to contract violently. Arms curl up like boxers protecting their faces. Legs twitch and bend. It looks like they are fighting death, but they are already gone. The surge passes. The roar fades. The ash settles gently, like snow on a winter morning. Silence returns to Campania, but Pompeii is gone, buried under 6 million tons of debris, erased from the map, erased from history, until we found them.
The ash settles, the sun returns, but the city is gone. Emperor Titus sends commissioners from Rome. They arrive with gold. They arrive with engineers. They plan to rebuild. But when they stand on the edge of the plain, they stop. There is nothing to rebuild. Pompeii is buried under 20 feet of rock. The coastline has moved. The river Sarno has changed its course. The landmarks are erased. The looters come first. They dig narrow tunnels, frantic moles burrowing into the dark, stealing statues, melting down bronze, hacking off marble. Then nature takes over. Grass grows over the tomb. Vines reclaim the slopes. Roots strangle the roofs. Memory fades. 50 years pass. 100. 1,000. The name Pompeii is wiped from the map. In the Middle Ages, locals call the area simply La Civita, the city. They don't know why. They are walking on top of a ghost story. The silence breaks, not for science, for greed. The Bourbon kings of Naples want statues for their palaces. They want gold for their treasuries. They treat the ruins not as a historical site, but as a mine. Workmen hack through walls. They strip the frescoes. They discard the pottery. If a find isn't beautiful enough for the king, they smash it. For 100 years, Pompeii suffers a second death, first by fire, then by pickaxe. They find skeletons, yes, but they are just bones, debris to be swept aside. They miss the most important thing. They miss the holes. Enter Giuseppe Fiorelli, a radical, a revolutionary, an archaeologist with a soul. He takes charge of the dig. He stops the treasure hunting. He orders the workmen to dig from the top down, layer by layer. And he notices something. In the hardened ash, the diggers keep hitting cavities, hollow spaces. Whenever they hit one, the ground collapses, destroying whatever was inside. Fiorelli pauses. He looks at the shape of the void. He realizes these aren't just air pockets, they are negatives. The bodies of the victims had been covered in soft ash. Over centuries, the flesh decayed, the bones collapsed, but the hard shell of ash remained. The person is gone, but the shape of their death remains. Fiorelli has an idea, a crazy, brilliant idea. He stops the digging. He calls for a bucket of liquid plaster of Paris. He pours the white liquid into the hole. He waits. He watches the plaster dry. Then, carefully, gently, he chips away the outer layer of hardened ash, and history changes forever. Out of the dirt, a man appears, not a skeleton, a volume, a face, a body. You can see the fold of his tunic. You can see the leather strap of his sandal. You can see the terrifying expression on his face. He pours again. A woman appears, then a child, then the dog. He has done the impossible. He has given the ghosts back their bodies. Suddenly, Pompeii is no longer a collection of buildings. It is a collection of souls. We are no longer looking at Roman citizens. We are looking at us. We see a mother trying to shield her baby. We see two lovers embracing in their final moment. We see the vulnerability of our own species frozen in plaster. The mountain took their lives, but in a strange twist of fate, it gave them immortality. Stand back in the garden of the fugitives once last time. Look at the child, look at the mother, and consider the cruelest irony of all. Vesuvius was not just a murderer, it was a curator. If the mountain had remained asleep, Pompeii would have died a natural death. The Romans would have torn it down to build something newer. The marble would have been burned for lime. The frescoes would have faded into dust. The city would have been paved over by the relentless march of time. It would be forgotten. By destroying the city, Vesuvius saved it. It wrapped the moment of death in a protective blanket of ash, sealing it against the rot of history. It allowed us to walk these streets 2,000 years later. It allowed us to touch their lives. Destruction became preservation. But do not think this is just a story about the past. Turn your back on the ruins. Look north. Look at the mountain. It is quiet again, green again, beautiful again. And living in its shadow are 3 million people. Naples, the modern metropolis. It is built on the same magma, breathing the same air, trusting the same soil. The red zone around Vesuvius is the most densely populated volcanic region on Earth. Geologists tell us it is not a matter of if it will blow again, but when. The magma chamber is refilling. The pressure is building. And yet, look at the people. They are driving their cars. They are hanging their laundry. They are arguing about politics. They are doing exactly what the people of Pompeii did in 79 AD. They are betting against the house. It is easy to judge the ancients. It is easy to call them arrogant, to call them blind. Why didn't they run, we ask? Why did they stay? But look in the mirror. We are all Pompeians. We build our cities on fault lines. We build our skyscrapers on sinking coastlines. We ignore the changing climate, the shifting geopolitics, the cracking foundations of our own world. We suffer from the same normalcy bias. We believe that because the sun rose yesterday and the day before, it will surely rise tomorrow. We believe we are the masters of nature. But the plaster casts remind us of the truth. Civilization is fragile. Life is a flicker. And nature always wins. The people of Pompeii did not know they were living their last day. They left their bread in the oven. They left their coins on the table. They died in the middle of a sentence. Their tragedy is our lesson. The statues in the garden are silent, but if you listen closely, they are screaming a single message across the centuries. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. So live now, love now, because the mountain is always waiting.
And while Vesuvius waits, history sharpens a different weapon. Tuesday, May 29th, 1453. Inside the great cathedral of Hagia Sophia, the last Romans huddle in the dark, praying to a silent God. Outside, the horizon burns with Ottoman torches, and at the walls, a new god of war speaks, the Great Cannon. Next time, we travel to Constantinople, where the question isn't if a city will fall, but whether an age dies with it. History is not just a record of what happened, it is a warning of what is to come. If you want to uncover the secrets buried beneath the ash and learn the lessons the past is trying to teach us, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. I am Khan, and this is History Reborn.